Darkcast Network. Indie pods with a dark side.
Welcome back to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And we're your hosts. I'm Alana.
I'm Kelsey.
And Gordo is here, the silent cat partner, as always.
But for how long?
But for how long, we shall see. If you guys listened to last week's, you're welcome. It's wonderful. And I'm sorry I left you on a cliffhanger. I will wrap that up. Just to make sure you guys know who ended up in whose body. I feel like it's been forever since we literally recorded that one. I don't even know. I had to ask you what your case was so I could do the show notes.
It's been at least a week, maybe longer.
Yeah, we recorded. We were trying to get ahead of things. Recorded ahead of schedule, and we were on break, and so now we're back, and we're trying to keep it all up for you guys.
We're trying.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard. Like this.
I just don't know what episode
so
I'm talking about sometimes.
Going on.
Like, wait, when did that happen?
You're so distracting, buddy.
He just started immediately.
Okay, bye.
That was like...
If you guys could see him, it's insane.
As an aside, when we were recording with the collab, and I was like, I'm ready, and they're like, ready, and then it's like, and then I was like, okay, and then it's like, I started talking, and I was like, oh, she has to do the intro, where I thought that was like pre-recorded every time, because it sounds so good. And then I just started talking over it. I was like, oh my god, I'm an asshole.
Oh. It's hard, yeah.
It is when you're awkward, like me.
And me.
Too funny. Well, we are back. We survived Canada Day. Hope all you Americans had a good Independence Day. Nobody blew their hands off with fireworks, which is something we don't seem to struggle with as much here, although my mom's been known to let off a few small fireworks bought from the store, in her driveway, because she kind of lives out in the country. Like, that's where you can do that here.
We have different safety things for fireworks than they do in America.
No offense, our neighbor to the south. But their dogs are always like terrified. Everyone's like, keep your pets inside, and like, keep them calm.
Yeah, it can be very triggering for certain people and dogs and stuff.
Apparently. But
yeah,
I don't know. We didn't do too much. So there was nothing scares my dog. He just gets scared at little tiny sounds, and then he barks at nothing. As you know.
Yeah. He gets used to me. He does okay. It's everybody else he hates. I'm his favorite non-family person.
And we did social. You are. And he did get some pretty good socialization the last couple weekends. I was pretty happy with him eventually. Because,
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, when we had some people over the weekend before you were here last weekend, he was barky at first, and then, like I said, I had to be like, oh, okay, we really got to put the kibosh on this, because the one guy, Mark, was like, no, I literally have a perforated eardrum right now. I'm just going to like dip out from when he's barking around me. I'm like, I'm just going to pull him away, because, we recognize he's a dick because he's not been socialized a lot. And then, like, we all went up to have a fire, and eventually that's when he was just like, fine, he's laying on the ground, and he's happy, because every time he started to bark, I would bring him outside, or if he was outside and he started to bark, I'd bring him inside. Like, that's just our usual thing with him, where we're like, you bark, you're coming in. You dickhead.
You get relocated.
Exactly. But he likes to bark at people when they relocate within the house. You moved floors.
Yeah.
Or my mom gets up to pee
You
in the middle of the
stood up.
night when she's staying here, and
Yeah.
he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he did that to me.
He's just like, I'm startled. I don't know. Oh my gosh, write us in about your startled pets and the
Yeah.
weird ways
What's
they
their
cling to
weird
you.
what, like their
Quirk?
weird personality trait? Yeah, their quirk.
Oh my god, I was editing and I was like, how many times I tried to say party trick and like said like, it's your party game, or like in the last episode. I was like, come on, Alana.
I left in there was a lot of Gordo stuff in my segment that I think people will enjoy. I normally wouldn't. I don't think would leave that much in, but I was like, it was okay. I cut down some of the silences.
I'm telling you.
Other than that, I left most of it in. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I do. But I love a good outtake, so I don't know if that's just me. I was listening to a podcast today and I heard a dog bark in the background and they just kept going. It's like, whatever, shit happens.
Yeah, this was. I think you even reprimanded him from the other side. And...
I know. I talked to him like he can hear me.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a couple things I can't quite remember, but I thought they were funny. I was like, I have to leave this whole thing in now.
Nice.
Well,
so last week, yeah, we did talk about the possessions, big and small.
Yeah.
I just told you, yeah, I can hardly remember because it's been a while. But I talked about the ones where two girls almost switched bodies in a way. It was kind of it was kind of nuts the way they're both experiencing medical or mental illnesses of some kind with some sort of seizure like and symptoms, and randomly they could both seem to like read a passage in any book that was not visible to them, like if they were blindfolded or whatnot. That was the one that was just like, that's very strange and specific. But then kind of where I remember we left off was that it was like Mary Roth, who had died and was supposedly embodying Laurancie's body, was like, she will be here, or I'll be allowed to be here for like 10 months and then I'll be gone and Laurancie will be healed and she will be back. And that's what she said.
Which is weird.
Yeah. It's so specific and it's so like, well, we've been watching a lot of Supernatural. Isn't a lot to be like, she went and talked to the angels like Castiel would do. And she was like, this is what they told me. Yeah, they're kind of dicks sometimes. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I kind of alluded to we do a part 2 or something. It's not really part 2. It's more like a part 0.25 because I just kind of left it there and didn't really like say what happened at the end. I try to do the balance. Some podcasts do the long form and other ones will tell it to you in 40 minutes or whatever, and they're both good. But it was weird how when Mary Roth was in Laurancie's body, she could recognize her parents, Mary's parents, but not recognize Laurancie's parents. She was able to talk about things only Mary and her family should know. So for 10 months, she basically just lived as Mary, visiting friends and spending time with family that she'd missed since she had been in the spirit world, I guess, for lack of a better word. And it was interesting to find out that the Roths themselves were spiritualists or identified as spiritualists, but I think it was maybe a little bit more common at the time. So a lot of, like on Astonishing Legends, where they talked about kind of what the cause could be and maybe different factors, they were like, I'm certain they were happy to believe it was their daughter, which is something that's worth mentioning, I guess, because you could get a confirmation bias where because you want it to be your daughter, you're going to make all her answers kind of line up with being your
You're
daughter.
willing to overlook
Mm-hmm.
wrong answers or inconsistencies.
Yes, exactly. I think so. You're maybe not completely unbiased for sure. But whatever. We're all emotional and act much more emotionally than I think we know. um, but yeah, they had probably felt guilty for the way they had unfortunately had to put her into a insane asylum, in Illinois, and wouldn't get her back. But then they did get her back for that lovely amount of time, which is just like, I
Yeah.
think what makes it such a compelling story. And then like even people of that time were like, I just want to believe, basically. Like, um but yeah, definitely the treatments that we do in places like the asylums included things like water treatment, which sounds
Is not bubble baths.
innocent. Yeah. No,
It's probably hot and cold, like things
yes,
to shock your system.
exactly.
Yeah.
Scalding hot, ice cold. Not like the nice,
Yeah.
get in a hot tub and then like, go roll around in the snow or get in a sauna and then do an ice shower. It's more like torturous. Yeah, you are exactly right.
Yeah.
And I remember they said she was suffering so badly that she would try to leech herself, do her own treatments or whatever the doctors, weren't doing, and to try and relieve her own pain and suffering. I don't know, because I talked about most of her time in Laurancie's body before, but I didn't think I mentioned she predicted when Mary's brother would get ill before it happened. So just living there and was like, you're gonna get like really sick tomorrow, bro, and like stay at home in bed. And so he did get really gravely ill, and they were like, holy shit, well, good, stay home.
Damn.
And just different weird stuff like that. And then just the way she kind of knew. Mary one day says, yes, she'll have to go soon. She knows her time with her family is limited on this mortal plane. Um, and shortly after that happened, Laurancie surfaced briefly back into her own body and was confused, disoriented. Like she kind of woke back up in the Roth home and was like, what am I doing here? I've never been here before. So,
Damn.
yeah. And I think, oh, yeah, after that was kind of when Mary came back and then was like, oh, I'm a little confused. Oh, I had a scar on my arm. And I think I mentioned it last time where she was like, oh, no, it's not this arm. That arm's in the ground now. And it was like, she was a little
Yeah, that was creepy.
confused. Yeah. Because most of the time, she's very much aware that, she's still Mary in a different body, but it's a little it's a little blurry, it's a little confusing. um Interestingly enough, at one point Mary offered to host the spirit of Dr. Stephen's own dead daughter if he so wished to commune with her. She just offered to like host his daughter that had also been deceased, but he declined.
Damn.
So that didn't happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't really want that either.
I mean, yeah, he's like, I'm good, like, observing this from kind of afar, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess she could kind of put body hop because, and I know I did mention this on the last one, but she like was out at a pub and went like, well, I can take over this guy's body, and then like went into him and gave like a little speech that was like, I'm Mary, blah blah blah, because I know this and this and this, and they were like, okay.
Yeah, that's creepy.
It's weird because then she's just like, oh no, she was like, everyone else's spirit's just chilling when I body hop around.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then she's just like, oh, you guys are having dinner, and I'll just go have tea in heaven. And she'd be like, and just like piece out of her body, and like they'd be like, what's it like up there? And she'd say, oh, it's wonderful, but almost indescribable. And she just continued to say that Laurancie was up there having her own lessons, getting healed from the same sort of traumas and symptoms that caused, Mary to enter the asylum and then die.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually it's just like one day she comes back, and it's weird because then they know Mary, their daughter's gone, and like this whole kind of thing is over with one day. Honestly, that's just kind of how it ends. I was just trying to see if I had a little more about. Oh, they talked about how when they asked Mary directly of her death, she would not speak of it but would quickly reply, "I never died," or "I did not die." She never tired of talking of the life beyond this. She would at any time leave her play, her reading, or her jovial companions to talk with her pa and ma about heaven and the angels. Brackets, as she termed spirit life and spirits that have left the body. So, like, she did talk about kind of the afterlife, which is
Oh.
so cool, and that's what fascinated people. Um and they end up like writing into um the Roth family. But I just have to include this quick little quote because I did previously say that I would get to a quote from the book so you could see how the book was, and I'm probably not going to end up reading it even though I'm a big reader, but it's quite dense. And let's just read one little passage, shall we?
Go for it.
Okay, so this is in the time where things like mesmerism were coming out from Anton Mesmer, and terms like animal magnetism were first getting thrown around. We didn't know a whole lot about germ theory and other stuff, so keep that all in mind.
Okay.
It said, so from E.W. Stevens' book, Watseka Wonder, "The healing power, which can be imparted and aroused through the psychic forces, are multitudinous and vast in their proportions. Disease,
Multitudinous?
multitudinous." I think that's how
Learn a
you
new
say
word
it.
every day.
It's like I don't want to use the word myriad because I'm never sure exactly how you're supposed to use it. So I just don't. um
Yeah.
Disease may be said to be any derangement in the proper balancing of the working forces of the mind. Changing the polarity of the brain magnets deranges the individual's psychic control over the bodily functions and can only be restored to a normal action through some external impression or control, which influence the mental machinery to resume its normal relations and assert its wanted activities. And that's just 3
Oh my
sentences.
god. Yeah, that's too much.
Although I do like the term mental machinery, and I might use that again.
The mind.
Yeah, it's like he kind of believed that the outside forces to change it were going to be all the drugs and other treatments, and then that could heal the mind, which could then kind of heal maybe the organs and make all the shit harmonious. And we're
Yeah.
just like,
Gotta balance your humors.
humors. Yeah, it's not really far removed from that. Nowadays, we just usually kind
Yeah.
of poo-poo all this completely woo-woo shit, but you know. Yeah, and it was just interesting how the father of Mary Roth, I always want to say Ross, Asa Roth, went off to publish a response in the newspaper to the many letters he was getting in the mail from people that had heard about his daughter's case. He posted a notice thanking them for the inquiries and assuring them that he corroborated the whole story. Like, the book had come out, and he was like, "Dr. Stevens said the truth. This is what happened. This is what we saw. What
Oh,
happened."
that's good. At least he wasn't like, oh, he lied about half of it.
No.
That's
Yeah, at the time he
okay.
was like, "No, it's
That's good.
what we saw." He said the first day they met Laurency was on June 31st. It was one of the only dates I could find. And he one response he wrote in the paper to someone was, "The narrative as written by Dr. Stevens is substantially true in every part in particular, yet the half has not been told and never can be. It is impossible for pen to describe or language portray the wonderful events that transpired during that memorable 14 weeks that the girl was at our house." And then, like, in
Damn.
a ye old Reddit thread sort of thing, people could like write in, stuff to the paper or to him, and he could post the response in the paper. And that's, yeah, he did talk about how in talking with Mary, he spoke of her death, and she would say, "I never died." People were like, "This is amazing. It gives me hope that there's life after death," and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, she had a miraculous recovery and her overall health was improved. But I guess we'll kind of never know. I mean, they had another person in the community named Colonel Bundy came forward to vouch for him because he was like, this guy's got a great reputation and reputation is everything and all that.
Yeah.
And then just like it's fascinated people since then, the people that founded the SPR, the Society of Psychical Research, which is so hard to say at any given time.
Yeah.
Oh, and it also came up, I thought that was fun, that this guy named Frederick Myers, he wrote a bunch of books and stuff, and instead of supernatural, he tried to make the term more like super normal, but that it never caught on. I was like, he was trying to make super normal happen, and it didn't happen.
You're never gonna make fetch happen.
Never gonna make fetch happen.
Wow.
But yeah, other than that, that was the only stuff that we didn't really talk about, and we did discuss it a little bit, but not really. We were just kind of like, wow, that was crazy, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll get to a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely a different one, as I know I said 3 times in the last episode. She likes to repeat herself. I am ready for your case, but I might also be ready for a quick pee break. Sorry.
All right. Well, I had told you what band I was doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They have a naughty name.
They do. Where's Gordo? No.
Pussycat dolls? No.
No, I think they're just suing each other, but or having
probably.
But
that one girl, Nicole, does get really mad if you take her lead vocals over.
Yeah. Yeah.
She hasn't even been on Masked Singer hosting this season. It's been Rita Ora. Ooh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I
digress.
Yeah, I mean, some people might not consider this group to be a band. They are often referred to as like a performance art group, more so, or like a kind of feminist punk protest group. But they do have like music.
Wait, so videos. No actual music?
They have music videos. Some of like their protests and things that they've done, they've filmed and released as kind of like music videos. So there is a certain like band aspect to it. But not in like the very traditional like touring band,
right?
See them at concerts, release an album kind of thing.
Sure, they're probably not touring.
No, they would never tour. It's against their beliefs.
Oh no!
Yeah,
that's too bad.
They are called Pussy Riot, which I had heard of. I had seen like pictures of them. I honestly didn't really know a whole lot about them, so this is kind of interesting to dig into. They showed up on a couple lists when I was looking up like bands that had gotten like legal trouble for different things, that were like arrested, and yeah.
Right. Most of it's like, yeah, either property damage or someone was drunk.
Yeah, I was gonna say
like
drunk
all
and
that
disorderly.
Political. Yeah.
Yeah.
This has a different feel to it. It's interesting.
Yeah. So Pussy Riot, they were founded in like 2011 as what is described as like a Russian feminist punk protest and performance art group.
That's amazing. Punk protest group.
I feel like a lot of people would probably recognize them. The members of the group kind of come and go. Typically, there's around 11 of them.
Oh, okay.
And they use different aliases to conceal their like actual identities. During some of the
Okay. Like
yeah
Anonymous or some other group like that.
yeah exactly. During some of the interviews that different members have done, they've used nicknames such as Balaclava, Cat, Seraph,
What?
Terminator. I like that one, and Blondie. Which I think Terminator and Balaclava are my favorites.
I still like Catastrophe. Oh, no,
Yeah.
wait. That wasn't on the list.
No, but Cat was.
Yeah.
Get a cat.
Yeah. Terminator. That's your cat when he's mad.
Yeah.
Time to attack.
Yeah, right.
I will bite the hand that feeds. Thank you very much.
And only the hand that feeds him.
What a dick.
So while there's no like official lineup, even though Wikipedia has a list of a bunch of their names, the band says anyone can join, and it usually has between 10 and 20 or so members.
Wow.
Yeah. For like what they protest or I guess support. So they're
Because that's really
protesting.
what they're about.
Yeah, like
More
fundamentally, they're
so.
like protesting things such as
Yeah.
Vladimir Putin and the Russian Orthodox
In
Church.
general.
Yeah, they really hate Putin. As do
they're
most
for
people.
Putin out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also don't like the
There's a
Russian
lot of things to
Orthodox
hate
Church.
about him. There's a lot of cool things. He's an interesting person, I will say.
I don't know much about him specifically, other than what there's like all those things of him always being shirtless and like him fighting bears or something weird.
Yes, I
Yeah.
once like read a listicle or something, and it was all these different pictures, and it was like, here's him playing this techno song like Sandstorm by Darude on the piano, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
But then, during this whole conflict, then they got Zelensky coming out, and he seems pretty cool too, I must say. Maybe we just were the ones with the dumbass world leader. We get the Trumps and the Trudeaus over here sometimes.
Yeah,
I
they
said it.
also don't like the Russian Orthodox Church.
Mhm.
They use kind of their platform to try and promote some LGBT rights.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Makes
sounds like a
sense.
few of their members are part of the LGBT like community
Mhm.
and stuff. So they try and promote rights for that. They protest against the government, or yeah, they are fighting for the right to protest against the government, freedom of the press,
Oh,
and
yeah.
freedom of speech, especially in Russia. It's not
Yeah,
not
that
quite
is a
the
very
same as
scary
here
thing.
in North America. You can kind of get away with saying a lot more stuff unless you're like threatening somebody's life. I think it is like threatening to kill somebody. Otherwise, you can
Mhm.
basically kind of say what you want.
Well, yeah, because we do value the right to free speech.
Yeah.
Free speech, and I was literally just reading. It's a Canadian author who's out of Quebec, and her chief inspector character is in Quebec. His name is actually Armand. Speaking of Interview with the Vampire, and she specifically says, uh, they're like Quebecers. We value our right to free speech, and like
Yeah.
your right to give your opinion, even if it's not the most popular one or whatever. Because if you don't have that, then you don't really have a good democratic society if you can't say your opinions, even if they're not the popular ones. And I was like, that's a fair point, like anyway.
So they typically protest by performing what's described as like guerrilla
Mhm.
concerts. So they just kind of like suddenly pop up. Like they know the plan,
Okay.
but nothing's like prearranged with the public to be there or anything like that. They typically do it in a pretty public place, singing different songs that different members have written about like different things that they want to protest. Gordo? Yeah, so they sing about different things that they're trying to promote or things they're trying to protest. Typically they perform and hide their identities by wearing the brightly colored balaclavas, meant to that they say is meant to spread joy and inspire others to rise up and protest with them. They also wear like brightly colored kind of like dresses and that kind of stuff. And their performances are normally filmed and released as music videos.
Like a little
Which
pop
there
up.
are.
What do they call it? I don't know, dance or whatever.
Yeah.
Flash dance.
They have like. Yeah, those were more popular, like, I don't know, 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
I think the Harlem Shake ruined everybody for like flash mobs. They're like, fuck this.
Oh,
Like,
maybe.
we're out.
I
so
just like
tired
that
of
they
it.
do a good episode on it on Modern Family where Mitch is part of one and Cam's so jealous because he's usually the one to be the dancer. He keeps trying to join in, but he
Yeah.
doesn't know what's happening. Classic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Recently, like in the last probably like 8 years or so, they have done more like kind of traditional like music video kind of things where it is like more what you would see with like a music video than just like a live performance that was like recorded in the street.
Oh, okay. More dollar bills.
Yeah.
Girls.
Yeah.
I think you're rap videos now.
drugs and Lamborghinis.
Everyone, yeah. So many girls in bikinis draped over the car.
Yeah. What are we, like fucking Fast and the Furious maybe? What is this?
Yes.
How else do we know the car's fast? It ripped her clothes off just driving past her.
It made a loud noise.
Yeah. Their goals include establishing a more democratic society in Russia. And one of their first performances that kind of gained them a lot of attention was in the Red Square in Moscow back in January of 2012, where they performed a song called Putin Zazel, roughly translating from Russian to Putin has pissed himself.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
He's Liam Pearson.
Yeah.
Oh. Damn.
Yeah. There was a little quote here from the excerpt from The Guardian, had a good article.
Yeah.
Said one member speaking to the press said that the performance was inspired by the protests against Putin in December 2011, in which Russian security forces confronted over 100,000 protesters, which turned very chaotic. She told the Financial Times, quote, "We saw how troops were moving around Moscow and there were helicopters in the sky. The military was put on alert." And she also says the regime just wet its pants on that day, and the symbol of the regime is Putin.
Oh.
So kind of like that they like Putin was pissing himself because he was like so afraid of these 100,000 protesters that he had to call in the fucking military to come deal with them.
I can see that. He really can't deal with any dissent or critique like most fascists. He's not going to be listening.
Yeah.
If he is, I don't know. We love Russia. But yeah, it's like seriously. I know, obviously, I love Russia as a country. It seems beautiful. I want to go there. Holy fuck! But like, it sucks when you can't choose your, or you don't love your representative of your country, and a lot of us don't. A lot of the time.
Yeah, there's something to be said about even hating who you have, but at least you have the right to vote for who you want, even if they don't
You
win. Like,
supposedly, yeah, on paper you have the
yeah.
right, and we always talk about how, like, oh, we have
Oh
a
yeah, they
two-party
still do
system or
so much.
whatever, but it's like a lot of times you don't have a lot of choice, really. It's
No, and it's not perfect, but
not
yeah,
at all.
this is definitely it's like never
Yeah.
ending. Just do whatever they want. One of their probably most notable for performances is called the Punk Prayer performance.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, this is what really I remembered hearing about. Um, and that was the morning of February 21st, 2012, when 5 members of Pussy Riot gathered at Moscow's Cathedral of Christ and Savior, wearing their sleeveless dresses, neon tights, and
Ooh.
balaclavas. They like jumped onto the sacred altar in the
Ooh.
cathedral, took out electric guitars, and performed a song called Punk
Oh my
Prayer.
God, they like,
Um,
oh fuck, what's that movie called where they dance on the bar? Um, c- Damn it! Kelsey never knows. It's like 90s.
no.
The dance on the bar.
Oh.
Cougar. God damn it. Okay, cut that.
Um,
I'll figure it out.
the song was a mix of punk music and traditional Orthodox chanting.
Oh. Coyote
Yeah.
Ugly. God
D-
damn it.
oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Never watched it. Detailing the relationship between Putin and the Orthodox Church. It also criticized the church's anti woman and anti LGBT views,
Mhm.
and in it, they were had different lines that were asking, like, the Mother of God to oust Putin and become a feminist. So they're like asking, like,
Oh.
renounce Putin.
I think
And
the Mother of God would
um,
be a feminist. She's probably doing all she can, man.
The performance itself, happening in this cathedral, was shut down like within
Okay.
minutes, but it made a huge impact on like Russian politics around the world and how people were viewing
Yeah.
Russia back in 2012.
Made the headlines for sure with a name like Pussy Riot. They accomplished what they were
Yeah,
going for. Like they made a splash, I think.
yeah. Um, so there was kind of like conflicting things. A couple of the things I read said that 3 of the 5 members who were performing or protesting that day were arrested like immediately at the cathedral. A couple others said that they were arrested like a few days later, so I'm not
Oh,
exactly
okay.
sure. But the 3 that were arrested, I didn't look up pronunciations, and I'm so sorry. This is gonna be awful. It's all underlined.
You can do it.
Word. Nadazda
Ooh.
Tolokonnikova, Maria
Mm.
Alekhina, and Katerina Samatozovic.
I do love a
Uh,
Katerina. That's a pretty name.
this is Yekaterina. It's like YE
Oh, I
and then
think that
Katerina. Yekaterina.
yeah, it might be pronounced Katerina. I'm not 100%
Oh,
sure.
okay.
I like it.
Um, so the 3 of them, those were the 3 that were arrested. They were denied bail and held actually in custody for like 5 months while they were waiting their trial
Damn.
that ended up happening in late July of
That's
2012.
a while. Like, come
Yeah.
on. It's
The
white
2
collar
other,
fucking crime or whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't know.
yeah.
Ugh.
The 2 other women that were involved in the protest ended up fleeing the country
Mhm.
and were actually never like identified or named.
Well, that
Um,
was a smart move, honestly.
yeah.
Especially around there where you could just get
Um,
to a different European country so quickly. Like maybe they weren't from Russia
true.
originally. I don't know. Just speculating wildly.
Yeah. So the 3 women that were arrested, they were convicted of hooliganism motivated by religious hatred.
Oh God, that sounds funny, but
And
like, what does that mean in Soviet Russia? Like, I'm scared to find out.
right?
Yeah.
They were sentenced to 2 years in prison each.
Okay. It's not
Yeah,
terrible, I guess. It's
but for like
harsh.
freaking protesting, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
They didn't endanger anybody. I don't know. But neither
no.
do people that just have,
Um,
possession of weed in the United States, and yet, like, or in
yeah,
Canada for quite a while, like, you could get, a time for possession and shit like that. That's just, like,
yeah,
pretty unfair when you think about it.
yeah. Um, in the appeal, one of the women's, Samatozovich, she was released because it turned out that she had never made it to the altar, um,
Oh.
and committed what she was being charged for. So I think, like, based on where they were standing in the video, like, she ended
What?
up appealing and being like, I'm actually not standing on the altar, I'm standing beside it.
Oh my God,
So she,
technicality. Yeah.
yeah, but good for her. I
Yeah.
mean, fucking, you gotta do what you
She
gotta
had a good
do.
lawyer.
Yeah, didn't really get into it a whole lot. The other 2 lost their appeals and were sent to 2 separate Russian prisons,
Damn.
but their trial became like a huge symbol, of Putin's authoritarian tendencies and the censorship of political ideas in Russia.
Oh, the censorship. Yeah,
Um,
that's bad. It's the suppression of
yeah.
information and stuff. And, also killing anybody
Mhm.
like that doesn't agree with you politically, allegedly. This is all a problem
Yeah.
in my eyes. Yeah.
Um, It said, while Russia denies any political
Hmm.
motivation in their arrest, it is clear that the group's criticism of the government and the church were part of the reason that they were arrested and sentenced so harshly. Which, yeah, because it happened inside the cathedral and everything like that.
Okay.
The government faced a lot of criticism following the arrest, both from supporters of Pussy Riot, throughout Russia and the Western world. So,
Hmm.
it did, and I think that's like where I remembered hearing about it or seeing their pictures was probably around this time. People were kind of talking about it,
Hmm.
because of the trial.
Yeah, that must have been its heyday because things do come and go in the news cycle.
Yeah, yeah. There's just so much news all the time.
It's a lot.
You
It
know,
can be
like,
very overwhelming.
yeah, like, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, it used to be your local news was talking about your local news. Now, local
Mm,
news could be like your whole country, or it could be
yes.
North America, or you could be hearing about stuff on the other side of the world for like
Right.
half
Because I
your
think
news.
they
It's
talk
not like the
about,
newspaper.
like, yeah, there was a big shift with the 24-hour news cycle that kind of started going in like the 90s, and we had internet and stuff, and then
Yeah.
we just had to fill that void since then. Like, I don't know, I've heard people talk about it where it's like, then
Yeah.
we had to all
You
start
need
getting,
something.
crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
right. You have more hours to fill. You need to
yeah.
find more to talk about.
But then, yeah.
Um,
Apparently, yeah, I don't know. Some of the first newspaper guys might have been the ones that they said also contributed to this sort of sensationalism type of news.
oh yeah,
Yeah, like,
yeah, because some of the even the like Victorian crimes we've talked about a few times. Some of those newspaper articles, you're like, damn, like this is insane. They're drawing little like caricatures of people on trial, like it's insane.
yeah, I want
And
to
you're
say
like, I don't
William
even have a
Randolph
picture of
Hearst,
this
one
person.
of the first. Oh, I'm gonna make a lot of money off of fucking news, no matter who it hurts or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, fuck you.
Um.
You don't want to create this kind
So
of thing
like,
where journalism is just supposed to get the biggest headline. Like, that's not what it's supposed to be about. Now that we can learn about things that are happening around the world, which we couldn't do before we had this technology, like, we want to hear the actual truth. We don't want it to be, you know, force fed or like, you know,
yeah.
messed with. It's crazy. It's craziness. Um
So,
Yeah.
oh, some citizens were offended by the performance at the altar, many of whom were like highly religious, and also Putin supporters. So they didn't like that like it happened inside the church on the altar, like they were standing on it and jumping on it and stuff.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. The topic of the or sorry, and the topic of the arrest seemed to sharply like divide the country. Some believed that their sentencing, the 2 years, was too harsh, while others believed that it wasn't harsh enough. There was some talks of even bringing back corporal punishment, flogging and birching, to tarring and feathering spread. Like people were talking about, let's tar and feather
Right,
them. It was like
flogging
crazy.
and what was the other one? Between
Flogging and birching.
birching.
Like,
I don't think I know
yeah, just hitting
birching.
people with like, oh, it's like birch branches. It's like it's a very like flexible tree branch, so you can like fucking
Different kind of whip,
people.
sort of.
Yeah, yeah, it's like
Because
yeah,
the tarring and feathering, that was pretty a specifically cruel thing they did. But then they also would like, they said they took someone out, like I think it was called like on the rail or something. It sounds really weird. It's like they, imagine them taking somebody out on like not like a wooden bicycle, but like like a wooden like road part, like just a wooden stick, a rail, right? And they're like, and then they just carry you all around town, and then I don't know. I guess your nuts are squashed. Like it's
oh,
very. I guess that's where we get some of our
weird.
expressions on. I don't know. I was just like, that one is very weird, but
Yeah, I've
apparently
never
it
heard
happened.
that.
Along with the tarring and
Weird.
feathering and all this craziness. Yeah.
Yeah. And many of the people were believing that the members of Pussy Riot were like a threat to Russia, which I'm sure Russia, like some people did view them as a threat. And it is noted that unlike like the divide it seemed to have caused in Russia, the reaction from like the West or North America was almost completely positive. Pussy Riot became a symbol for democratic freedoms like free speech and right to protest and criticize the government.
Sexy way to do
Which
it
yeah,
too.
like that
You
yeah,
take your trucks out
it can
here. They don't
happen.
like that. They're like, oh, stop blaring your horns. We'll take your bank accounts away.
Yeah, like people do that now. They kind of will take like a certain thing that happens and it seems to be the thing that everybody's talking
Oh,
about for
totally.
like a month or so, and then it's on to the next thing.
Oh,
But
completely.
uh
That's the news
yeah,
cycle we
many
created. Nobody can
yeah,
focus on anything for too long. And then they just feel like
no.
the crushing weight of trying to do something about it all. It's like, well, that's not going to happen at this rate.
So there was actually like many famous people who publicly supported Pussy Riot,
Nice.
including artists, musicians, politicians, and business people. Um, yeah, with like Russian government and its oppressive policies taking center stage around the world, as international attention was placed on the woman's arrests and then like the trial and then them being in prison.
Yeah.
Um, from the Guardian article again. I thought this was kind of interesting because this is one thing, I guess, about maybe why it may have taken such an interest. They said it was unusual how much people outside of Russia paid attention to the arrest and trial. There have certainly been other outrageous arrests of political activists in Russia and all over the world that did not gain that much attention. The members of Pussy Riot that were arrested were popular because they held attributes that other activists didn't. They said they were young, beautiful women that were well spoken and they loved the attention.
Okay.
They had the celebrity quality that people from the West love. So, like,
Oh, I don't
a
love
lot of,
that.
I guess, the. No, right?
No,
Um,
because there's been times when other people have spoken out maybe as one person alone, and then they get killed or die in a mysterious way. And
That's true.
like, well, no wonder nobody wants to speak out on their own, and they have to like take the form of a group or something where you have some safety in numbers. And even then, you're just going to discount them as like some crazy women. Like, it's not going to matter what they do.
I do get to it later, but there's actually been like, I think I have a tiny thing about it, but I didn't really get into it too much. But there's members of it later on that are actually like upset at the three of them for kind of cashing in maybe a little bit on the celebrity they got from their arrest.
Of course.
And then,
well, there always will
that
be.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I've been listening too much of You're Wrong About, but I've tend to learn that we like to blame the women if they do succeed in our society. We're like, what?
Blame them for everything. Everything.
Couldn't have been her just, getting off her feet and, doing well for herself. Had to be she's evil. Yeah, it's not a great trend when you hear different things like that. You're like, oh no.
Yeah. Shortly after the arrest and during the trial, actually, Madonna, she ended up having performing like a concert in Russia.
Nice.
She spoke of her support of Pussy Riot and how brave they were for fighting the Russian government. And I think she even wore like a balaclava when she was like making her statement and stuff.
That sounds very Madonna.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like I remember this actually happening though. Just like not paying much attention to it at the time,
Right? Like I remember when I saw some of the pictures, I was like, oh, I think I remember seeing like maybe thumbnails of some of these pictures, but yeah.
It's one of those, if we don't unfortunately kind of have to deal with it, quote unquote, on an everyday basis, we can ignore it a little bit easier. But like that's the point of people like this where they're like, well, we wanted to get your attention. And then you're like, well, and you did. Good for you. Like, called attention to your cause. And so I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. I do have some stuff with them, like, I guess people trying to like endorse them and how they kind of responded to that.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, because keep in mind they're anti-capitalist, and now they have millionaires being like, we support you, and they're just like, well, you're a fucking millionaire, like what are you doing to help people, kind of thing.
Or fucking what did we I don't think we talked about this on air, but when I was like, they're accusing Jared Leto, and then he's like, sure, I'm a cult, but he's also like, oh, fuck greed. And then he's like, yeah, I'll come to my camp and pay your, $5,000 to come hang out with my band. You're like, yeah, you're so not greedy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so like I didn't really find much about their 2 years in prison. There might be stuff in there out there, but I didn't
2
really
years,
run
wow.
across it. But they were, or it was almost 2 years.
Okay.
I think, because it says in February 2014, a statement was made anonymously on behalf of some Pussy Riot members that Olyehana and Tolakanova were no longer members, so like they had been outsed from the group. So like this point forward, they're no longer
2 people.
Pussy Riot no longer like, 2 of the ones that were arrested are no longer like viewed as actual members.
Ooh, wonder why.
I had a hard time trying to figure out whether or not that was because they were trying to help them.
Yeah. Or if they were
maybe
silenced.
get like out of prison if they were like not really, like
allegedly
if they were trying to like maybe lend their support and being like, oh yeah, they weren't actually part of the group and that kind of stuff, to kind of like separate distance them from the group that way to help them out because they're in prison.
Yeah, just muddy the waters a little bit there. Yeah,
or if they didn't support them, because there's some stuff, as I kind of said, like later on that happens where they're kind of like, yeah, we don't really agree with that.
like, but... yeah, no. Okay.
Yeah. From the Guardian article again, It said that after the women were released shortly before the 2014 Winter Olympics, the women took a tour of the US, making speeches and different appearances. The women were invited to perform at the Grammys with Madonna and invited to many other performances. The women refused, saying that they only perform political protests and they will never perform in which people have to pay for tickets to see them. So that was like their thing, because that's, yeah. So they'll never do like a traditional tour like that way. Pussy Riot's values are in many ways way more radical than many of the famous celebrities that had spoken in favor of them. And
Probably.
it said Pussy Riot may be against the values of the Russian government, but they are also against capitalism. And capitalism is one of the values most celebrated in the US and other Western democracies. The outpouring of support was in some ways superficial, in that many of the supporters, or like people that were like, oh yeah, I stand with them, did not actually support their values.
No, they wouldn't have taken the time to research it.
Right? Yeah. But instead we're just simply supporting their right to protest against the Putin government. So like,
which is
they were trying to
fine.
They said a lot of the people trying to support them were just like wanting to bash the Russian government. Weren't actually like kind of reading up and like understanding who they were throwing their support behind.
Yeah, well,
because they
always important to have an open discussion,
like,
as
inform themselves.
mentioned, I guess. Maybe off the pod. I can't remember now. We've been talking. What are you drinking? It looks deliciously pink, by the way. I just have to ask.
This is one of the, it's a wild peach pie. It's from like Shitty's.
Okay.
SHIDDYS, Shitty's distillery.
I think I've seen that in store, yes.
It's okay. Not the best. I wouldn't buy it again. Sorry.
Damn. That's me with the fucking raspberry basil debacle.
Yeah, this has about that much flavor. So, yeah.
Oh my god. I wish that other one had less
like,
flavor. I can't believe she was like, he barely has any basil. I'm like, whatever, bitch. We all tried to drink that and it was weird.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Sorry, basil. Hot take.
Like basil in food, but not really in
Big basil's
drink.
coming for us now.
Yeah. What's that? Okay. This is where I had it. So this was from Wikipedia. Said the other members tried to distance themselves from the two, saying that although they were glad for their release, the members were anti-capitalist and did not support their use of Pussy Riot to make money from songs and tours.
What?
Which is what they did. It said they went on like public press tour and like speaking tour in the US and stuff.
What? And made so much money to offend this other person? Like, I doubt it.
Not really sure, yeah. After failing to prevent them from using the Pussy Riot name, they declared the group dead. So this was like 2014, 2015. They like said the group is done, like it's kind of over. But as I've mentioned, in like they did, starting in 2016, I think 2 of the girls that were like arrested are still using the name and releasing music videos, including ones that are like going against Trump and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
they did seem to have a little alliance.
The group has been,
anyway.
Yeah, it kind of has been like said that it's dead, but there's still stuff getting released under the name.
Yeah, because they were made to be like political dissenters, so like they're like anonymous or something. Like, I feel like that group, you know what I mean? Like they're not there to be on tour for you or whatever.
Wow. And I thought it was kind of interesting that they said in almost every article and like statement that like, yeah, anybody can say that they're part of Pussy Riot and like all that kind of stuff. And then they're trying to say like, oh yeah, we declared the name like the group dead because we didn't like what these two were doing using the name. And it's like, well, you keep saying that anybody can be part of it, and that it's just meant to like inspire people to protest what they want to like stand for or against. And it's, well, they're trying to, and you guys are telling them not to.
Be clear, god damn it.
Yeah.
What do you represent? And then we'll get behind you. And then if not, you're just like, I'm too cool, I'm not doing it for clout. And you're like, well, too bad. These days, like, you do something, people are gonna notice, so you're gonna have to like explain yourself at some point.
Gosh. Yeah, the rest I had from Wikipedia said, speaking as much to Western European and North American audiences as to Russian ones, Pussy Riot anticipated Donald Trump's victory 2 weeks before the outcome of the 2016 United States presidential election was declared, and released the song "Make America Great Again," which I watched. It's kind of like
released a
crazy.
song
It's
called
one of
that?
Yeah, and like a music video. It's on like their official YouTube, along with a bunch of their other protests that they've done.
As like a satire after he came out with, because he had his campaign slogan before that, I would assume.
Yeah, so they released this song saying basically that they believed he was gonna win the election, and
they were not wrong.
And like it was kind of right. It was kind of talking about all the ways he was basically not gonna make America great again.
People just acted like it was so crazy. All those celebrities, like, we're gonna move to Canada. Like, really? The whole time you've had this election going, you're like, well, what if that one guy wins? Well, you have two guys running. Like, do you know how probability works?
Yeah.
It's 50-50.
Right?
Not that our system is all that better, because we try to get environmental parties going, like the Green Party, and we have the one called the NDP,
but it's still virtually impossible.
It's still just liberal and conservative, or Democrat, whatever they call it in America, Democratic and Republican. Yeah.
But in that like song or video, Make America Great Again, it depicts a dystopian world where President Trump enforced his values through beatings, shaming, and branding by stormtroopers. It's kind of a fun video, and it's also one of the only ones I think that was in English. They've done a few of their newer stuff in English. The rest of it is not.
How much trouble are we going to get in if we feature some? Let's do it. Let's add to the.
I can pull up the Make America Great Again. That's probably fine. They also have a song called oh frick, what is it?
I don't know, but I love the way your head popped up when you were trying to think of what it was.
No, it's either called Hangers or No More Hangers, and it was about like the abortion bans that were happening in the US.
That sounds familiar, actually. Yes, No More Hangers. Yeah. I think I heard of that.
Yeah.
It's gets right to the point. Oh no, I didn't mean that to sound that gross. It's that one would hit home for sure.
I'll have to see. I can't remember for sure if this one was in English.
So
like I think it was. It's all these ads. Stop it.
They're still kind of active now, is what we're saying. Did you say
one of the girls that was arrested is still using the name, but the other ones have said that the group is dead and they no longer condone or endorse anything that the other
maybe they've been cowed into saying that it's possible they were threatened. You never know.
Yeah. I'm gonna get to the song. They have a bunch of it's like a bunch of news clips about like protesters getting beaten and stuff.
Oh, lovely. Just great.
No more small breasts.
Oh yeah, no more small breasts.
Rude. A handful is fine. All you need.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is like the Spice Girls, where my sister said to me not too long ago, I think last year on a visit, that like, like only one or two of them could really sing that good.
Yeah.
What did she say? American what?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it works better if, like, with the video. I can put one of the videos up
damn.
on the website. Yeah, but yeah, their newer stuff, like, they've been doing more of it in English.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope they do get more mainstream.
Yeah, we'll see. They don't have a lot of videos.
What's so hard if you're in a country like that suppresses all sorts of information that doesn't align with what the leader wants? Like, oh my gosh, it must be so hard to mount any sort of protest like that, even if it's just like,
Yeah.
or just, you know what I mean? Like, they have to kind of couch it in these cryptic lyrics or whatever. It's just like, this is crazy. This is not Nazi Germany. We shouldn't have to be like afraid to say what we want to say. It's just fucked up. I don't know.
They did do like a exhibition. Yeah, there's like what did this have? I'm not exactly sure when this opened. It said it was like 10 years. It was celebrating the decade of their history. So
Oh
I think it
wow.
must have been a few years ago, like around 2001, 2002 ish.
Oh, because they started in 2012.
Or no, sorry, 2021, like 2022 ish.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it said the exhibition's called Velvet
Oh
Terrorism.
my god.
And yeah, it opened in Reykjavik in
Oh, Iceland.
freaking Iceland, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's an exhibit that was tracing the decade-long history of Russian art collective Pussy Riot. One of the pieces that's one of the most talked about features a framed portrait of Vladimir Putin that I didn't see a picture or video of this, but it's apparently like propped up against a table well from above on a video loop. One of the members of Pussy Riot lifts up their dress and pees like on the portrait, like in the thing.
Okay, but I love that because it doesn't actually hurt anything substantial. Like, did we not talk about on the last one, or have I just heard about people trying to spray paint Stonehenge, or they're trying to throw eggs at the fucking Mona Lisa? And you're like, what are you trying to say? Nobody knows until they actually like Google it. Like, what stupid, you know what I mean? Like, not company, but like whatever cause they work for. So they just try to gain attention by like destroying something, and you're like, no.
Yeah, most of the time I think those ones were like global warming or something, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like climate change.
Yes. Just no oil. Some sort of, yeah. Yeah, we're trying, guys. We're trying, but this is not the way. The Baby Yoda would not approve. This is not the way.
Oh, I was like, what?
The Mandalorian, that's what they say. This is the way.
I did find like a cool WordPress article. It was talking about the exhibition. It said that like photos were stuck on the wall with this colored electrical tape. There was TV monitors playing footage of various performances and beatings that the collective, like the group, had undergone. Such as one time in 2014 when Oleana and other members were whipped and pepper sprayed by Cossacks while protesting at the Winter Olympics in Sochi.
Jesus. Something we would never see when we're watching the Olympics coverage. Because why would we?
Right? It also talked about one of the times where, I didn't really get into it, but where like a couple of the members had gone to a protest or something and they just disappeared and nobody could like reach them for a couple of days. And they
great.
Like, yeah, they had been like beaten to death or like kidnapped or something,
Oh
and then
my
they just kind of like popped up. Yeah, like they did have some violence, definitely, that was put against
Beaten
them
to
for a lot of
death?
their protests.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
it
is
was
the
like
shit
crazy.
that we need to know about, where you're like, how is that just like a
Yeah.
footnote or whatever? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it said the look of the like exhibit now has like this punk sensibility that's fitting to their like
Aesthetic?
songs that they kind of had. Yeah, like more so
Yeah.
at the beginning that they had. Also said when I first met Alyonka, she was scribbling text on the gallery wall with what looks like a Sharpie. She was writing in English an explanation of the footage showing Pussy Riot's breakthrough performance in January 2012
Okay.
in Moscow's Red Square. That day they played a song, the Putin pissed his pants one, which included
Right.
the lines, "The Orthodox religion is a hardened penis, coercing its subjects to accept conformity."
I'm just gonna say the only thing I like about that is poems that use penis.
The hardened penis.
There was a hilarious mention
The
in one of
last
the
thing
Outlanders where it's just
the
like,
last thing a religion wants to
yeah. I don't know. One Scottish guy apparently like made a whole poem that was like an ode to my penis. I don't know. It was
be. Oh, probably.
yeah, it was something like that, but perhaps a little more poetically stated and
Yeah.
also in Gaelic. So then she's like, did he just compare his penis to a bagpipe chanter? And I went to Pat and I was like, do you know what a bagpipe chanter is? You played bagpipes. He's like, it's the blow piece. I was like, well, someone just compared their penis to one of those. Okay, cool. Good to know we had penis poetry as far back as the 17th century.
Oh yeah.
My hope it.
As soon as they had written language, there was stuff about penis.
Yeah. I was gonna say my hope in humanity is restored, but like everything we try, we're like, porn? Can it be used for porn? And that's the human condition. No.
And complaints. Did you ever hear about the one that was
and complaints about porn?
frick, what is it? No, it's from like Pompeii or
Oh my
something, like
god.
really fucking
Oh
old,
no.
where they translated like this like stone, it was like carved into stone, this
Oh god, I'm so
tablet, and they
scared.
figured out it's a freaking review of like this guy's business being like, he is not reliable, he sucks, I do not recommend him. And it's so
1 out of 4
funny. You're like,
stars. Fuck this guy on Yelp.
yeah, you're like, and everybody online is always like the OG Yelp review.
Oh,
like they just ripped
yes.
him apart. And
Of
it's like, it had to be
course.
chiseled into fucking stone. Like this guy hated this dude.
You meant business.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
funny. They're like the world's oldest Yelp review.
Yeah.
but
Different
this
if you
dude
put into a
sucked.
tablet nowadays, but a stone tablet has different implications.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So it's like, oh yeah.
that took some
Okay,
time.
I only have like 2 more paragraphs. Okay. From the, what did I say the article was? Oh, WordPress still.
Yes.
It said this spring, after being arrested 6 times since last summer for protesting against Putin and suspecting another spell in jail was likely, Aliana and her girlfriend Lucy Stein and other members of Pussy Riot fled their house arrest in Russia disguised as food couriers.
Smart. DoorDash?
Yeah, so like I hadn't even known that they were in like under house arrest. Like I didn't really read that anywhere else.
Right. So they were under
It
surveillance after
said
like one of the first incidences.
after they were released.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And still getting arrested. She had been arrested like 6 more
Oh,
times.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. It said her girlfriend Stein is now in Israel, while Aliana, Lanka, and other collective members were nomadic and have spent much of their time leaving Russia, touring Europe to raise money to support Ukraine and sanctions on Russian oil and gas. Yeah, there was like I think a couple songs that they released when like Ukraine got invaded by Russia and stuff. Yeah, I know they had at least one song about it.
That would make sense. That's probably they're probably like, this
Yeah.
is the exact kind of thing we were scared about. And it's tough. We usually don't love to even touch on things, but it's a friggin', when literal wars are going on, people are dying and conflicts like that. It's pretty fucking shitty. We can't like ignore it.
This was, I think this was from the article too, but this is where I wanted to leave it on. It said, quote, be it prison, I don't know what Novichok is.
Novichok.
What is that? Novichok.
I don't know.
No idea what that is, but it says, be it prison, Novichok, whips, ankle tags, or exile, says the show's publicity material. Pussy Riot turned every violent action of the state into art material, shifting the power balance.
Also, maybe it's some sort of punishment from that context, like
yeah, I don't know.
No, yeah, I'm gonna speculate. Like the stocks. Maybe by the time this comes out, someone can tell us, like our very wise listeners, including my sister.
It is a family of nerve agents.
What?
So it's like chemical weapons. That's great. What does it do to the body? Induce convulsions, muscle weakness, nausea, paralysis, vomiting, and difficulty breathing.
And this is what's called Novichok
due to the secretion of
whatever?
Fluids. Novichok. Novichok.
Ah, weird.
Yeah. But apparently they use like all those things, like they used them and like repurposed them into art, like for their exhibit thing that they did.
Yeah. Sorry, I just cracked my knuckles.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have. There's a lot more out there. Like there was so much.
Yeah, I bet.
Breakdowns on all of their videos and symbolism and different band members, and
well, that makes sense because
a lot more about views and
it's not
their history of supporting specific ones is a lot,
right? So you get like your regular bands and they're like, this guy fucked up and that guy fucked up, and then this one's like, we're kind of a band to fuck your shit up or whatever.
Yeah, right. They're doing it for a good cause.
Yeah,
like some would argue not, but some would argue yes. So
yeah, I think you're.
Yeah, but they are getting in criminal trouble for it. So
sometimes the environment you're brought up in like calls for that. I don't know. They're in a place where like you'd have to make a big statement before you're heard and stuff, I think.
Yes, very true.
I don't know. I think that was really great. I really enjoyed it, and
thanks.
I don't know. I think that was like enough to be a pretty good episode. I don't know. What do you guys think? Damn. I think we should do Band Crimes Part 2 for next week.
Yeah.
Because, well, yeah, I have enough I could do at least another hour if we wanted. But,
Yeah. Maybe we'll do it. Hold everybody in suspense.
Well, we gave them the rest of the Watseka Wonder so they can calm their tits.
True.
No, it's exciting. I really like when everybody gets excited, or like, just on Good Pods, I logged in and saw that my brother rated the new episode and was like, they're back. And I'm just like, oh, I feel so nice to have people being excited that we're making episodes again. So yeah, bitches, let us know what you think. So that was amazing. Like I said to you, kind of combined a couple like listicles where I was like, I wanted to know if there was kind of wanted to dig into boy band crimes, but I also know there's been like a few documentaries, like full, whatever's behind the curtain. making the band, the making of the crimes behind making the band. And so it just was like, is there any other scandals and kind of stuff like that. So
There's a lot.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I got some scandals, and that's kind of what mine went to, and like, nothing too crazy, deep or whatever. I don't know. I didn't talk about any murders. Let's say that. So
Okay. Yeah, I didn't really want to cover any of those either. I was like,
Yeah.
that gets pretty dark. We do that enough in our regular true crime ones.
Oh yeah,
It's nice to do other types of crimes.
exactly. That's generally what we get to do.
Yeah.
We pussied, we rioted, and now there's just a wet spot on the floor.
Yeah.
He
Works
almost
for
made
me.
an appearance on several of our other recordings, including different collabs we've done where we're like, Gordo! Well, as long as, yeah, you were saying
Gordo,
like,
the
before you came over,
actual
you're like, he just
pussycat,
randomly attacked me a couple
got
times.
locked
I'm
out of
like,
the room.
toddler phase much? Like, at least kids, like, sometimes you can predict when they're going to be insane. They're a toddler, they're a teenager.
know.
All right, well, look out.
I
They
don't know
might
what's
bite you.
going
I don't know.
on. It's
But
so
your
annoying.
cat. He's just like insane. I don't know. Ragdoll? I don't
Yeah.
think so. More like serial killer. Yes, that totally makes sense because I remember when she got the Sphinx
Yeah.
on the one that Rachel got on Friends.
Yeah.
She attacked her all the fucking time. Yes.
No. It's
That's
the Sphinx,
right.
the hairless
I always
cat
remember
man.
he's a mix, and I never remember what the
It's
other one is other than
the
Ragdoll, which doesn't
vicious
exist in
little
him. So it's always
demon.
like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, they're assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sphinx cats are supposed to be
Oh my
like
god, amazing. All right,
assholes,
well,
like
good
the
night, Gordo, and
worst.
good night, y'all out there.
So,
And
yeah.
we'll catch you next week for more band crimes, and then maybe we'll dive into some folklore after
Yeah,
that.
he
It's
looks
been
like
a
a ragdoll,
while.
but his attitude is full Sphinx.
Hell
Hairless.
yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, what do we
Yeah.
say? Keep it cryptic! Bye.